Hey, Dad. I was thinking of taking one more big adventure before I leave to go to college.
Oh, yeah? What was you thinking about?
Well, you know how I like different ecosystems that aren't in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some grasslands.
Okay.
Maybe some mountains and alpine lakes.
Oh, now you're talking.
Maybe some deserts and canyons.
Oh, it's right up our alley, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what? Sounds familiar. I think I know where we need to go. Welcome, fellow expeditionists, to our 2022 Return to Colorado road trip. We left Indiana before sunrise on June 26th with about 16 hours of driving ahead of us, taking the most gas-friendly route that Google could recommend. It's a long slog across the Midwest, so we had to get out and stretch once in a while, with our longest stop being at the Rowe Sanctuary Audubon Center on the Platte River near Kearney, Nebraska. Hey, fellow expeditionists, you guessed right, we are on another road trip. Now, right now, we are somewhere in Nebraska, right along the Platte River, right behind us here. Taking a little breather here. We're already about 12 hours into this road trip. Most of the Midwest is not much to see other than the highway, so we skipped out over all that. And we've got a great adventure, hopefully, planned. And this adventure almost didn't happen just because gas prices are so outrageous. I know you guys all know about that, but we're doing our best to make it happen, get out there, and get into nature, huh, buddy?
Yep.
All right, let's go do it. So we're actually at the Audubon Center, the Rowe Sanctuary. Obviously, Audubon being a bird sanctuary. They got some nice little trails out here along the Platte River, so we thought we would check it out just to get our legs stretched after the long drive, and still got more driving to do. And, plus, we can say that we've done a hike in Nebraska now. Alright, that's pretty much it for our little side adventure here at the Rowe Sanctuary here in Nebraska. Just a little leg stretcher. We've been in the car quite a lot. So we're really here at the wrong time for the good bird action, for birding and such. You know, it's not the migratory season right now, but we did get to see things like the Baltimore Oriole, some blue herons, killdeer, even got to hear a sandhill crane, though we never actually got the visual on it.
And we even saw a bunch of little birds chase a bald eagle.
Seriously.
That was a good leg stretcher. And now we can add Nebraska to states that we've hiked in. But now the race was on to reach our planned dispersed camping site for the night before sunset. We entered the northeast corner of Colorado. This is where the landscape truly begins to change from the fertile land of the Midwest to the dry, arid lands of the West.
Well, fellow expeditionists, we are back in Colorado. That's right. We have returned Colorado 2.0. We are currently going into a spot we've never been to, the Pawnee National Grasslands in northern Colorado. Now, if you're like me, when you think of grasslands, you just think of tall grass. Well, this is a short grass prairie, but it's also got a lot of buttes and rocks and stuff to explore. So that is why we're here. And if luck is on our side, we're going to boondock here tonight.
The Pawnee Buttes National Grassland is managed both by the National Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management. It is a short grass prairie ecosystem that is still recovering from the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. The land is multi-use, as there are leases by area farmers for cattle grazing as well as utility companies for energy production, both in the form of wind energy and oil production.
Alright, we got a cow up here that's playing chicken with us. Now he might be moving off. Smart move, cow. Smart move. Excuse me, my dude. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
With the sun quickly setting, we were in hurry mode to find a boondocking site. So we took the first thing we found.
All right, well, we are here in the Pawnee National Grasslands, back in the Buttes area. I'm not sure how much we're going to be able to hike around the Buttes because apparently they are closed until June 30th for a certain kind of bird nesting. But we'll find that out in the morning. Right now, I'm just happy to have a spot for us to spend the night. All right, our little mini Subaru camper is set up for the evening. Just enough room for short people like me and Catfish. But, it's been a long day. Obviously, drove the entire way from Indiana to here in the Pawnee National Grasslands in northern Colorado. And stopped there at that Rowe sanctuary just to stretch our legs on that little trail. But we're here now, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yep, we are going to be sleeping with the cows tonight. See you in the morning.
Well, good morning from Pawnee National Grasslands. It was a great night of sleeping. I actually got up about 3 a.m. and the night sky was amazing out here. Every star you could see was there. It's a great little area. I don't know if we're going to do much hiking today though here, just because the main Buttes Trail, I believe, is closed until June 30th because of certain nesting birds up in that area. Of course, it's June 27th, so we're like 3 or 4 days too soon. But I believe there's some other areas we can still explore.
All right, we are out here at the Pawnee Buttes trailhead, and good news. While the main buttes up here and bluffs are closed for those nesting birds, the trail is still open. It goes between them. So we can still hike the trail between the buttes. We simply can't go and climb around on the buttes. That's good enough for me. Let's hit it. All right, well, we made it about as far as we're going to make it up this butte behind us. Just enjoying the view, taking a breather right now. Look at this trail. Look at this view. Well, our time in Pawnee National Grassland was short, but it was a really cool area and it was a great place to boondock for the night, wasn't it, Catfish? Yeah, interesting little hikes there and everything, so really glad we took the time to check it out. We're on the road again, moving on to some more destinations.
From the Pawnee National Grasslands, we continued southwest toward the Rocky Mountains. We had no set itinerary for the day. We were just happy to be back in the mountains, so some sightseeing was in order. We set a course for Estes Park, and I'm always amazed at the scenic drives just to get there. It would be the first of many scenic drives over the course of this trip.
Where are we at now, Catfish?
Estes Park.
That's right, Estes Park. We have driven through the town numerous times in our visits out here. You know, we've never really stopped and done anything here in town because we typically like to avoid all of the tourist traps. But we have a little bit of time to kill this afternoon, so we're just going to walk around a little bit and see what we see.
Nice moose.
All right, well, it took us about 5 minutes of walking in town to decide to go find some more nature again. We're at the Centennial Park at Knoll Willows Nature Preserve, something to that effect. It's a really nice, small, open space park they have here at Estes Park. It grants us great views. Out that way, you've got the little reservoir, all the quote-unquote foothills of the Rockies. Just overlooks town. Break time.
Quick time.
I said break time and then you quit eating.
Oh.
Alright, so we've been walking around Estes Park a little bit, and it's pretty much what I thought it was. It's kind of like Colorado's version of Gatlinburg in Tennessee. But after walking around a little bit, I feel like it's a little bit nicer than Gatlinburg, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got a nicer feel to it. Maybe I'm just biased because I've been to Gatlinburg too many times, I don't know. But beautiful town. All right, Estes Park, the town, is pretty cool. Nice little place, great stuff around here, but it's starting to cloud up and getting ready to rain on us. So I think we're going to take off, maybe see if we can get some mountain views in.
Yep.
The Stanley Hotel here in Estes Park rose to fame after horror author Stephen King spent a night here in 1974 and became inspired to write one of his best novels, The Shining. The hotel was even used for shots in the Shining miniseries during the 1990s, and it's also appeared on episodes of Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures. The weather had started to turn on us. It's pretty common to have afternoon thunderstorms in the mountains of Colorado, but as we would soon learn, this was the beginning of the monsoon season out west. While we were getting rain here in the mountains, Utah was getting hit with flash floods in places like Capitol Reef and Canyonlands. Rain would become a common theme during much of this trip. Another problem with all this rain is that it was time for us to find our boondocking site for the night. I had several locations marked as potential sites on my map, but unlike our previous adventures in Colorado, we were in a much smaller Subaru this time. While it has a good all-wheel drive system, it does not have much for ground clearance. And more than once on this adventure, that would prevent us from reaching some of the places I had hoped to boondock at. But as always, we made it work.
We're out in the forest, Roosevelt National Forest, looking for our nightly boondocking site, huh, Catfish?
Yep.
So far we've been kind of unlucky. Our first two spots we went to, one was full up with the few spots it had. The other one we couldn't hardly even drive on. Well, we finally found our dispersed campsite for the night. Boondocking here in an area called the Gordon Gulch Dispersed Camping in the Roosevelt National Forest. It was an adventure for us. We've never really had to search quite like that in this particular Subaru. This Subaru is low sitting, and most of these places you're trying to find boondocking for require raised vehicles, which we've always had in the past, but this little Impreza does not have that lift. Fortunately, I won't have that Impreza a whole lot longer, so I don't know what we'll have next, but yeah, it's definitely not made for these kind of roads, but we made it this time, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Well, of course, we've got to explore our dispersed camping area. There's always some interesting things to be found in these national forest areas. Well, it looks like further up our hill is another campsite, but only one car for this camp area, so I don't know, if we wanted to put tent camp, we could throw our tent up here and have a little more privacy. We've got some rocks to explore here. Guess we should set up camp. Well, good morning, fellow expeditionists. We had a great night camped out here in the Roosevelt National Forest at the Gordon Gulch Dispersed Camping Area. It's a great place to camp, everything we needed and then some. But we're up early this morning and we're heading back towards the Rocky Mountain National Park. All right, fellow expeditionists, we are in the Longs Peak area. No, we're not doing Longs Peak trail itself all the way to the top. We know our limits and we're not quite ready for the kind of exposure that the actual 14er Longs Peak has. Instead, we're going up another trail that requires us to take the Longs Peak trail at least a certain distance.
Hey, fellow expeditionists, we're in Rocky Mountain National Park.
Today, we're hiking to Chasm Lake. We checked off the prairie ecosystem from Catfish's road trip to-do list and started on the next, mountains and alpine lakes. We always have at least one big hike planned for these road trips, and we decided to knock this one out early while we still had fresh legs. Chasm Lake in the Rocky Mountain National Park was to be that hike. The lake sits at an elevation of 11,823 feet, directly below the tallest peak in the national park, Longs Peak, the park's only 14er. But first, we had to hike 4.5 miles to get there, with an elevation gain of over 2,500 feet. It was a strenuous hike for us flatlanders from Indiana, mostly because of the altitude and thinner oxygen. We had not taken the time to fully acclimate to the altitude, and we could feel it. So, we took our time. But oh, the scenery was everything we hoped for. The Rocky Mountain views, the waterfalls, and, oh yeah, snowfields that we had to wear microspikes to get across. Was it worth it? Hell yeah, it was. We did it, Catfish.
We did it.
We made it up to Chasm Lake, right below Longs Peak. High five, buddy.
Goodbye.
Yeah. fellow expeditionists, we just got done with that awesome hike up to Chasm Lake here in Rocky Mountain National Park. Absolutely beautiful, stunning hike up there with the mountain views and just everything that we love about this kind of place, huh?
Yeah.
Right now we're in Estes Park. Just filled up on gas and put some air in the tire that's giving me some problems, but we'll get it taken care of. And I think we're going to just go out and do a little bit of sightseeing right now.
After a tough day hike in the mountains, it's always nice to take a scenic drive to relax and chill out. And Trail Ridge Road is one of the most scenic drives in America. Oh, and the occasional wildlife is a nice bonus. We stopped at the Alpine Visitor Center to take in the views from the top of the Rockies, and Catfish took the time to research some of the weird plant life that grows in the tundra. While these delicate little plants appear small, they grow at an extremely slow rate. Anything that is 6 inches or larger is estimated to be over 200 years old. Time to head back down the mountains and head into Roosevelt National Forest to find our boondocking site for the night.
All right, fella expeditionists, we have found us our new boondocking site for tonight. It's still in the Roosevelt National Forest. It's in a different area though, and it's nice in that it's closer to everything that we want to do, but it's right on the highway, so we'll have some road noise. There's definitely a few rednecks in here playing their music pretty loud tonight, but hey, you know what? It's free. I'm not going to complain. So yeah, we had a really long day today. What all did we do today, Catfish?
Well, we did go up several thousand feet, and we also got pretty sunburned.
We did get sunburned today, climbing up to that Chasm Lake, which was just an amazing hike. And then, of course, we chilled out after that, going up Trail Ridge Road and exploring a little bit more around the tundra and such, huh?
Yeah.
All right, well, we've got a different kind of day tomorrow planned, so we're going to have to get to bed soon and get ready to keep on trucking. Well, good morning, fellow expeditionists. It's day number 4 on our return to Colorado road trip. It's a great night last night of camping here in the Roosevelt National Forest.
Today we're doing something a little different. Today we're going to Boulder, Colorado.
So, we're still at our boondocking site here in the Roosevelt National Forest. And before we take off, we decided to just explore some rocks we've seen across the gravel lane. And guess what, man? There is a view here that I did not expect to be found just in this little dispersed camping area. Check it out. Not bad, not bad.
Our purpose in Boulder, Colorado was twofold. We had plans already to visit one of the museums at the University of Colorado. But also, I needed to find a tire place to fix this pesky issue of losing pressure in one of my tires. But man, what a scenic drive to get to Boulder. Everything here is simply breathtaking.
All right, I would like to say that we came into Boulder, Colorado for more fun purposes, and we do have something fun planned here, But right now it's here to get a tire fix that has a nail in it. I have no idea where we got the nail, but it's been causing us some low pressure readings for the past couple of days. So thank God for Discount Tire being everywhere and us already being in their system. So they're getting that fixed up for us. We got about an hour to kill. And there just happens to be a 2-mile park, as they call it, nearby. So we're going to check that out while we wait.
So this 2-mile creek park isn't very big, but what it does provide is green space with a lot of habitats.
One hour later.
So where are we at now, Catfish?
We're at the University of Colorado.
That's right. Now when Catfish was searching for universities to go to, University of Colorado actually sent him a lot of information. Obviously he chose Purdue just because being closer to home and having in-state tuition versus out-of-state tuition. But it is a beautiful university here. Now, what are we here for today?
We're here for the Museum of Natural History.
Weird.
The University of Colorado Museum wasn't quite as big as we thought it would be, but still really cool because it had local stuff from the area.
We left the University Museum and headed out of town. We honestly didn't have plans for the rest of the day, so we decided to drive to the other side of the Rockies to the Arapaho National Forest, just west of Grand Lake and the Rocky Mountain National Park. And once again, our scenic drive through the mountains and canyons was simply stunning. We reached the Arapaho National Forest and the Stillwater Pass OHV area. We had boondocked down this road back in July 2020, but a major fire swept through the area shortly after. It was called the East Troublesome Fire, which ultimately burned 194,000 acres, the second largest wildfire in Colorado history. We've never seen any wildfire damage this extensive in our lives.
We are in the Arapaho National Forest in the Stillwater Pass area. This is a spot, we're in the exact spot, in fact, that we boondocked when we were here in Colorado in 2020. It was our third night, and we came out here not realizing Stillwater Pass area was an OHV area with lots of ATVs running up and down the road, as well as in trails in here. Well, the reason we came back here today is because shortly after we left this area in 2020, a big wildfire swept through here. I believe it was the East Troublesome Fire. And as you can see, it's just absolutely wiped out this forest. Completely wiped out for miles. And we just wanted to come back and see what it's like now. And it's just something to see.
I can already see the primary succession taking over from what used to be this forest fire. The forest fire recovers nutrients to the soil and opens up sunlight for all of these flowers. I've already seen lots of blue pine and a few columbines as well.
See, it's really sad that this forest fire came through and just took out so much beautiful forest, but it will recover, and it opens up some pretty cool views for now.
We headed back toward the west side of the Rocky Mountain National Park to look for some wildlife, and we were not disappointed, as both moose and elk were out and about. But it was pretty obvious that the weather wasn't going to hold out for us much longer.
All right, we are just out exploring this evening. We're on the west side of Rocky Mountain National Park. We just wanted to go out and see the Colorado River here. It's the headwaters, so it's not quite like what you always picture the Colorado River. Well, what do you think of the Colorado River here, Catfish?
It's pretty neat.
Pretty neat. You think this is going to fill up those reservoirs down there in Arizona?
Probably not.
Probably not. All right, seeing the headwaters of the Colorado River was pretty cool.
But the weather's telling us to get a head on. The weather's not looking so great.
Well, we made it to our boondocking site tonight here in Arapaho National Forest. Very simple spot, but this rain just will not let up. I mean, they've got like flash flood warnings here in Grand Lake area and stuff. We can't really set up our car RV type thing here with the bed in the back and all that without getting out and getting very wet. I don't know. That's the one downside to doing this kind of thing right here.
Well, good morning, fellow expeditionists. We survived all that rain last night. It finally let up sometime around 10 p.m.-ish, so we could set up our car and get us a little something to eat before we went to sleep. And after that, it was a good sleep. But as you see, we didn't get what I would consider the best boondocking site last night. We were in a large parking area out here on the outer edge of the Arapaho National Forest. And of course you can see that there's a camper vans and such out here. So it's kind of a big group camp kind of scenario, but you know what? It did the trick. It's all we needed, and we're gonna hit the road again. I think we're kind of over Rocky Mountain National Park at the moment. Not that we don't love it, obviously, but we just got more things we want to see, so we're going. Although there was more we would have liked to do in the Rocky Mountain National Park, the weather forecast was for rain all day today, so this seemed like a good time to move on. We had checked off the first few things from Catfish's list, including prairies, mountains, and alpine lakes. Now, it was time for some desert ecosystems and canyons. We headed southwest with our eyes set on a place we've never visited before, and we let Google Maps set our course. Google treated us to a lot of scenic byways, but let's be honest, there are no bad views in the state of Colorado. All right, we have been on the road for a couple of hours this morning, heading towards western Colorado. But as you've seen, it's been raining most of the trip, and it was supposed to rain pretty much all day back in the Rockies too, which definitely contributed to our decision to go ahead and leave the Rocky Mountain National Park and head out to our next destination. But it's starting to clear up this way, and I believe by the time we get to our destination, it should be pretty much in the clear, huh, Cap?
Yeah.
All right, well, on the road again. Famous last words. The rain kept up,
as we drove through the most scenic stretch of any American interstate, through Glenwood Canyon on I-70. The canyon is 16 miles long, with walls soaring over 1,300 feet high. The highway features two 4,000-foot long tunnels through the cliff sides and has 40 bridges high above the Colorado River. This is our 4th time driving through the canyon, and it never ceases to amaze, even in the rain. We turned off the interstate at the small town of Fruita in western Colorado. Just a few minutes from town was our next destination, Colorado National Monument.
All right, as you have seen, we have made it to Colorado National Monument. That is our next trip on this Return to Colorado journey. All right, so we got inside to the visitor center here at Colorado National Monument. Got a little bit of information. Not as much information as I still need, so I still have to do some investigating. But anyway, while we're here, we are going to do the Canyon Rim Trail. There's no feeling quite like the first time you explore a new area. It's just the most awesome feeling. So you just seen our cool little adventure around the Canyon Rim Trail, and that trail comes up out of the Saddlehorn campground here, Colorado National Monument. And as we were walking back, we realized just how freaking empty this place is. And it's all done on first come, first serve this time of year. So guess what? We grabbed us a site and we are going to stay in an actual campground here at the Colorado National Monument for tonight. So back in here is our nice little campsite with our tent already set up. You can see back there we got a nice cliffline view. And there are canyon views all along the edge back there that we'll probably be using for this evening as well as for sunrise in the morning. Now that you've seen the Canyon Rim Trail, our cool little campsite, let's show you the scenic drive around Colorado National Monument.
Rimrock Drive is one of the most spectacular drives in America, featuring red rock canyons with many pull-offs for viewing the scenery and wildlife, as well as trailheads. The 23-mile scenic road is, however, a challenging drive, often narrow and steep, with sheer drop-offs, tight corners, and hills. It takes approximately an hour to navigate without any stops, but of course, we had to stop at most of the pull-offs to take in the views.
You want to try it?
Hello!
Hello!
Whoa!
Well, it's certainly been a fun and interesting day today, huh, Catfish?
Yeah.
Yep. Took off from the Rockies, got swamped with more rain, but saw some amazing views. You know, Google Maps, sometimes it seems like it's taking you out of your way just because of the roads it picks you would be surprised by, but it takes you to some of the most scenic areas. And it's just a gorgeous drive to get down here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
So yeah, we're just kind of hanging out in the campground now this evening here at Colorado National Monument. Chilling out. Getting ready for a big hike tomorrow, though. Look at this view.
Good morning from Colorado National Monument. We had a great night last night, sleeping here in the campground at the National Monument.
Now it's time to head out there.
We decided to head down into the canyon via the Upper Monument Canyon Trail. We would be descending more than 600 feet with amazing views all along the way, followed by a 3.5-mile hike one way out to the iconic Independence Monument. While I was admiring the geology and stunning scenery, Catfish was exploring the unique plant life as well as wildlife that make this their home.
Well, we have arrived at Independence Monument. Well, all right, we are sitting on the saddle right now between the monuments, and we decided this is probably about as far as our hike is going to take us today. We got here, we got to see what we wanted, got to see some wildlife that we didn't expect. Been a great experience. You know, we wanted to get out into some different kind of ecosystems and habitats, and boy did we, huh?
Yes, we did.
Yep. Right now I think we're just going to take a little break, maybe have us some lunch, these views right here, before heading back. So that little outlook right there is where Catfish and I sat last evening and then this morning for the sunrise. Almost there. Well, we had an awesome time at Colorado National Monument. Realistically, we're only there for maybe 30 hours, and what a great time we had, huh?
Yeah.
Loved it, and you know, it was much better than I anticipated. So, of course, the temperatures are getting pretty high now, and so we are moving on. Probably heading back eastward into the heart of Colorado. Not even positive yet what our next stop is, but that's what we're going to figure out now.
On the road again, we headed east. Our next destination was a few hours away, so we decided to save it for tomorrow. In the meantime, we needed a place to boondock for the night, and I really wanted to revisit my all-time favorite boondocking site from our 2020 Colorado trip in the Gunnison National Forest. It would take us a bit out of the way for tomorrow's destination, but sometimes our campsites become a destination of their own.
Well, fellow expeditionists, we decided to return to our favorite boondocking area from our 2020 trip. It's the spot in Gunnison National Forest, I believe off of Forest Road 12. And you may recall it if you happen to see our videos from that time, because it is right below Marcelina Mountain. Catfish is down there investigating what kind of ecosystems he's finding and what kind of different plants and such. What are those funky plants?
I don't know. We don't have the connection to look it up.
Oh man. No connection means no apps for plant identification.
Whoa, Dad, a huge pile of dino poop.
Whoa, dino gross. Who could have done that? Well, good morning, fellow expeditionists. Great night here in Gunnison National Forest. Once again, we got to explore around the woods a little bit, seen some deer, had a little dinner, and got a good night's sleep. Now we're up and at 'em and ready to move on to our next destination. We were completely off grid here, no internet, so I tried my best to plan our route to our next destination on my own. Because of the remote area we were in,
any route would take over 4 hours to reach. So I planned out what I thought might be the most scenic route to get to Florissant, Colorado. This route included portions of the West Elk Loop Scenic Byway, Top of the Rockies Scenic Byway, and Collegiate Peaks Scenic Byway. We would be passing through the Redstone Historic District, Snowmass Village, Aspen, the Independence Pass at the Continental Divide, and Colorado's highest peak, Mount Elbert. It was killing me to be passing through such beautiful and amazing places without stopping. But the fact is, it was July 2nd and we had a target of returning home on July 4th. Driving through all this scenery once again just reminded me that I could return to Colorado again and again and still have more to experience.
So we got out of the Gunnison National Forest this morning, great place for camping, and we knew it was going to be a pretty long drive to get to our next destination in central Colorado. So we decided to take the scenic route, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through, let's see, Gunnison National Forest, White River National Forest, San Isabel National Forest, and even Pikes National Forest to get here. And wow, we went through some major peaks and saw some great scenery. Loved every second of that. But now we're at Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument.
Florissant Fossil Beds is a sedimentary geologic formation outcropping that is world-renowned for the many exceptional insect and plant fossils that have been excavated here and are now in museums around the world. But the main attraction at the park now are the petrified redwood stumps that measure up to 14 feet wide. This area was once a lush river valley where redwood trees thrived. But approximately 34 million years ago, a cataclysmic volcanic eruption completely changed the landscape and ultimately buried these stumps, preserving them in place as we now see them.
Well, before this area was protected, tourists would come and collect pieces of the fossils, so these here were probably once much bigger than they used to be. The area wasn't protected.
Well, we just got done doing our little exploration here at Florissant Fossil Beds National Monument. Cool little place. I don't know if I feel like it's truly worthy of being a national monument. Really, I'm glad it exists because back in 1969, developers were trying to buy this area before the National Park Service got involved. And they wanted to build a resort here, and possibly this whole valley where the stumps are at could have been turned into a golf course and all that. So that's why the National Park Service stepped in to preserve it. So glad it exists, but I'm a little underwhelmed, I guess.
Florissant wasn't necessarily underwhelming. It's just that we had already seen so many amazing things on this trip, and we weren't done yet. We headed south toward Canyon City to try to fit in a couple more scenic areas before the day was up.
All right, we are in the Canyon City area of Colorado. There's supposed to be a cool little Skyline Drive up here that we're gonna go check out.
On the west side of Canyon City is the Hogback Open Space Recreation Area, and its main feature is this nearly 3-mile-long Razorback Ridge that rises 800 feet above the surrounding terrain. The road was built in 1905 and is one-way traffic only, with sheer drop-offs and no guardrails. Just before reaching the top of the ridge right here, on the left, you can see some large bulges underneath the rock. These are actually dinosaur tracks. Although they've always been there, they weren't actually identified until 1999. It is believed to be impressions of a family of ankylosauruses made during the Cretaceous period, when this area would have been muddy marshlands. Skyline Drive was everything I hoped for. Amazing scenery. But I wanted more. There was one more place near Canyon City that I wanted to at least get a glimpse of while in the area. However, Mother Nature was not making it easy as storm clouds descended on us.
All right, so that Skyline Drive there at Canyon City was really cool. Kind of a white-knuckle drive, I'll tell you what. But we've been on a lot of those lately, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah, pretty wild. So our next place we want to come to is the place that Canyon City is technically named after, Royal Gorge. Now, we're not going into the park, Royal Gorge Park, that has the big bridge and everything. Has like $30 tickets to get in and such, and we're not going to do that. We are on the cheap.
Yeah.
But there's a cool overlook here that one of our followers and friends and fellow adventurers let us know about. Kevin James told us about this cool overlook. So we came out here to check it out. And of course, this is when the afternoon rains decided to hit. So we've been kind of just sitting here waiting for the rains to pass, and I think it's finally starting to die down. Yeah, that's a pretty good sized cacti, huh?
Yeah.
Pretty flowers. Still blooming, that's great. Ow. You gotta try. All right, while there is a break in the rain, I'm gonna see if I can get down here and see this gorge. Really got to watch my step through here with all these little cacti. I wouldn't want to land on one. That's a pretty crazy scene right there. There's one deep gorge just cuts through the mountains.
That's awesome.
All right, so this Royal Gorge overlook here was totally worth it. It was worth waiting out the rain and getting out here to see this.
I've seen some things that I haven't seen at different places, including Colorado National Monument, including those branchy tree-like cacti that we walked through, as well as some waxy leaf bushes.
Yep, always love finding new things, huh?
Yeah.
New to us things.
Now it was time to find a boondocking site for the night. Originally, I had hoped to head up to Phantom Canyon Road to the north, but it was getting late, and with all the rain we'd been experiencing, I was a little nervous that the Subaru Impreza might get stuck up there. So, we headed onto BLM land in the nearby Temple Canyon Park.
All right, we found us another awesome boondocking site. We're out here just southwest of Canyon City. Lots of public land out this way, so we just started cruising the back roads till we found us something. Not a bad view, huh, Catfish?
No.
Yeah. So, the side of the hill here, where we're camped out here on this BLM land, apparently has a couple trails that cut through the area, so it's not quite dark yet. So what do? We decide to start walking. Just beautiful scenery everywhere you go here in this state, huh, Catfish?
Yeah.
Seriously. Well, the sun is about to set. Good morning, fellow expeditionists. We camped out here last night in BLM land. I think this is the Temple Canyon Park area, just southwest of Canyon City, Colorado. Lots of good campsites out here. Of course, we got here kind of late. It was already getting dark, so we just grabbed the first spot we could get. And you know what? Nobody else come up here. Had it all to ourselves. These great views around here. Perfect. How'd you sleep, Catfish?
I slept pretty well.
Yeah, me too. It was a good night. Good night. So we got more adventures to do today. Keep on watching. I mentioned earlier that our goal was to be home for July 4th. So this is our last day for adventures in Colorado. First up would be one of the most popular parks in the state. In fact, it is rated by TripAdvisor as the #1 park in all of America. The downside to that popularity is that it means it will be busy. And to make it worse, I misunderstood the hours for the park, thinking it opened at 9 a.m., when in fact, that was just the hours for the visitors center. Oops, my bad.
Hey, fellow expeditionists. We're at Garden of the Gods.
Not the Garden of the Gods, the Pawnee National Forest in Illinois that we've been to. We're in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
I wanted to love Garden of the Gods with all of its red rocks and cool formations, but I think we're a bit numb to it at this point, simply because we'd already seen bigger red rock formations out at Colorado National Monument. But we were getting tired after 8 days on the road, and the ease of the hiking trails here were actually perfect for our final day of adventures.
So the rock formations are obviously cool. You also get a nice view of Pikes Peak. So that was Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Very busy place, but very beautiful place. It's obvious why it's so popular. But it is time for us to start heading east. We are on our way back to Indiana now. That doesn't mean we don't still have some stops to come, but we're heading east.
Back on the road going east. Saying goodbye to the Rocky Mountains was not easy. We will be back. Oh, but there is one more place, kind of a hidden gem in eastern Colorado, that we wanted to check out.
Hey fellow expeditionists, we're at kind of a hidden gem here in eastern Colorado.
We're at Mines Interpretive Park.
Mines Interpretive Park is a unique Badlands formation right in the middle of rolling hills and prairies. We wanted to fully explore this park, but it was the heat of the day and storms were in the distance, so we went directly to the most scenic areas to fit in what we could.
I'm kind of speechless. It's just a really weird type of Badlands. There's Badlands everywhere. At least 4 different types of Badlands here in Colorado. But I don't think I've been in any quite like this one. Well, fellow expeditionists, we're going to have to cut our exploration of the paint mines just a little bit short. We've probably seen about 2/3 of the formations here. We've probably hiked about 1/4 maybe of the total amount of trails here. There's still a lot more here to be seen. But there are some very ominous clouds coming up behind us with some rain and lightning coming in. So we decided it might be time to cut it short.
And so concludes another epic road trip for Sloan's Wilderness Expeditions. Colorado, and pretty much anywhere out west, never disappoints. We may not have climbed the highest peaks, or backpacked the longest trails, but we did exactly what we wanted to do. We made memories.